forward, follow me. If I hesitate, push me. If I may kill me, avenge me. If I am a traitor, kill me.
Gangsters, cops, and politicians, get ready to rock. We're on a mission. Each one of us shares our own vision. When I was on the yard, I went real hard. While I patrolled the streets, all the G's on me. When I was on the yard, I went real hard. While I patrolled the streets, all the G's on me.
Saludos, it's your host, Gabe Morales. We've been covering Nuestra Familia members over the past 6 decades or so. Today, we're going to start off with the E last names, as in excellent. Speaking of excellence, I always try to make my videos top-notch and constantly trying to improve this show. So I'll send out an open invitation again that if you'd like to come on the show, let me know by contacting me at gangpreventionservices@gmail.com. Once again, the purpose of this channel is to cover interesting and controversial subjects in the gang and crime world, police and corrections field, and political and social change arena. Panelists and interviewees are all subject matter experts. We encourage comments and feedback, but insist that is respectful of differing opinions. And with that, I'll start off with Alfred Elizalde, also known as Güero de Santa Ana. I show he was NF member in the early 1970s. I show he did YA time 1969 as well as 1972, and then was convicted on a robbery beef in 1974, whereby he was given B number 58928. And that he was involved in the homicide of an Aryan Brotherhood associate member named Robert Console on October 21st, 1975 at DVI. And he was indicted on the RICO case in 1982. I show that he was at Richard A. Donovan in 2012, but I believe has since been moved to an unknown location. There's Jacob Blackie Enriquez, aka Joe Espinosa. I show he's out of Modesto, but also has ties to Tracy in Visalia. We show that Blackie was considered lieutenant in 1999 and was housed at Pelican Bay in 2001 when he was indicted on the RICO case under Operation Black Widow. He ended up pleading guilty and was assigned BOP number 02541-748. Understand that he was housed in the La Tuna facility located in Texas from 2009 to 2011, but was released in August of 2012, and I'm unsure of his current whereabouts. There was David, a.k.a. Dreamer, a.k.a. Joker Escamilla from San Jose. He grew up in San Jose's east side and was the nephew of a Santa Clara County Sheriff's deputy, but ended up starting his own gang called Eastside Hoods. He did a stint in the CYA when he was in his early teens in 1989, escaped, and within 48 hours had participated in a drive-by shooting on gang rivals. No one was killed, but several people were wounded, and he was returned to adult custody on H number 49720. Unfortunately, like many lost young Latino men, he would find himself caught up in the criminal justice system for many years of his life. Robert Brown Bob Viramontes was a well-respected NF member since the 1970s and was very close to Black Bob Vasquez, and they both were credited for leading a successful late 1970s impeachment effort against Bobo Sosa and Death Row Joe's faction. Brown Bob believed in the NF Constitution. He just did not believe that one man, or in reality 2 men, should control virtually everything within the NF. He helped reformat the Constitution under Black Bob and assisted with the implementation of a new MESA as well as the XIV bonds sent over from Folsom to DVI. He was an extremely influential figure and is seen here on the far left on the cover of my book, The History of the Nuestra Familia. While he always felt loyal to the NF and his raza, some canales took issue with him working with Old Man Ralph, aka Babe Rubio, in peace talks with Miami when he was locked down at Pelican Bay. Oddly enough, some of those same people who criticized him for that were okay with that hands-off, accidental, or purposely, by corrupt guards, opened up doors, hands-off policy on Pelican Bay tiers, even though one that highly criticized him later signed off on the end of hostilities agreement. At the time, Viramontes suggested that NF and NR members simply stand their ground and not engage with the enemy and only act aggressively if the enemy act aggressively first. While he never debriefed, he felt he had rightfully attained retired status since he was over 50 years of age with over 20 years of good service. He had begun preaching to northern youngsters not to get involved in the gang lifestyle like he did and spend decades in prison away from loved ones during talks with groups like Mothers Against Gangs. Another thing that went against Brown Bob was he covered up his NF tap on his back, which some younger NF viewed as an act of disrespect. And they brought all this up as being an act of betrayal under the Constitution, Article 2, Section 5, which states an automatic death sentence will be put on a familiano that turns traitor, coward, or deserter. That's also part of the NF oath. Brown Bob was watering his beautiful rose bushes, standing in front of his home in Campbell, California, with his back to the street when NF assassins came gunning for him on April 19, 1999. The killers had traveled in a Ford Explorer. The getaway driver, Albert Beto Avila, watched the first shooter, David Dreamer Escamilla, jump out and approach Viramontes. The other shooter, NF member Santos Bad Boy Bonillas, also jumped out and walked towards Brown Bob. Fourth individual, Antonio Chucu Guillen, the San Jose Regiment second in command, supervised the hit from a parked car down the street. Dreamer and Bad Boy walked up the driveway towards Viramontes and both began shooting. Viramontes turned towards an open garage and tried to run into his home, but as he crawled towards the door, he was hit 7 times. Dreamer got so close to his target, he later stated that blood splattered on the back of his hands. Beto Avila was later killed by Dreamer and a friend named Rudy Nadal Moreno in an unincorporated Santa Clara County area for failure to wipe down the Explorer used in the Viramontes 187, which was confiscated by police for evidence. Chuco and Bad Boy took off to hide out in the San Fran area, but were soon stopped by police after they tried to elude them. Bad Boy foolishly had not disposed of the murder weapon. Meanwhile, Dreamer hid out in a residence in Milpitas, located just north of San Jose. For 3 days, Dreamer sat in a garage getting tattooed by a friend, a move that would later prove incriminating, as he had illustrated the previous month of his life of crime on his forearm. There were 2 ink skulls with bullet holes in them, representing the Viramontes and Beto hit. Above them in block lettering was the numbers 187, the California Penal Code for murder, and in between the skulls was a smoking gun. After a major investigation, Dreamer Escamilla was also arrested, and he was charged under the RICO case of Operation Black Widow that named multiple NF crimes, including murders. Escamilla was found guilty and sent to the BOP on number 02543-748. And later returned to CDC custody on his H number, and is currently housed at Corcoran State Prison. There's a lot more to this story, but I don't have enough time to get into many details. I guess I'll have to cover more at a later date in a special episode. There was Henry Hobo Escarcega Alasalas. He was an NF lieutenant in the mid-70s with B number 56319, but evidently he pissed off the Canales as well as the M, because his name appeared on multiple hit lists in 1976. And he was, in fact, hit in October of 76 at the Santa Clara County Jail. He ended up later being validated as NF, even though he obviously was a dropout in 1982. And I show he was a parolee at large in 2007, but is currently not in custody. There was Benjamin Creeper Escobar from San Jose. I show he was involved in some robberies with Eric Duarte that I discussed in the last episode, as well as participating in robberies with Martin Flaco Lomas. I show he was involved in PCP sales in 1986, whereby he was given D number 45213. He paroled in 1988, but got an assault with a deadly weapon charge in 89. He paroled in the mid-90s, but had multiple parole violations from the mid-90s to late 90s. And I believe he was finally off that D number by 1998. And I'm unsure what happened to him after that. There was William Escobar. I show he was charged with a firearm in 1981 and did YA time. He then paroled about a year later, but then had some parole violations and caught a robbery charge in 1987, whereby he was given D number 49958. He paroled in 88, but got a violation in 89 and returned to custody in 1992. Understand he was housed at the San Mateo County Jail in 1996 for a dope charge, but was killed on September 8, 1998 by the Familia and or their Northern Structure counterparts. I usually don't put in females in my gang episodes, but I believe this one is important enough to include here. It was a female by the name of Peggy Espinol, who is known to associate with several NF heavyweights. She is out of San Jose and was known for carrying messages as well as being a major mail drop for NF members. She also conducted many phone calls for them, as heard here, talking to current NF General Skip Villanueva.
The roast beef and jalapeno peppers tasted real good. She'll know what I mean. It's just a joke. Okay?
The trial yet? What's going on?
No, I don't go to court again until next year.
Really?
Yeah, until next March. But we're fighting the death penalty part first. My attorneys leave next week. I see my attorneys all the time, right?
Yeah.
They're wonderful people. I've got 3 attorneys, 1 private attorney. I have a federal public defender and a writing and research specialist. And they always come to see me, and we sit out there and chat to just real good people from New Orleans, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm learning all about that. But, yeah, they're going to San Francisco next week. They're going to stay there for 2 weeks at the St. Francis Drake.
Yeah.
That hotel, yeah, they're staying there. Because they're going up there to, we're going to retain an attorney in San Francisco, because part of my racketeering case is part of the death penalty, too.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so it's like we got to fight the racketeering case all over again to try to get it knocked off of the death penalty thing. But
Now, the death penalty, does it mean, like, they want to kill you?
yeah, it's going to be execution. They want to execute me. But the thing is that we're going to fight the death penalty first. My attorneys all get together. By next year, they're going to go to Washington, D.C. and try to get it deactivated. They call it deactivated. In order to try to get the death penalty thrown out. But they got me on 3 things. The priors, and then they got me on malice, meaning I meant to kill him. And premeditation, meaning I planned it, and then I meant to kill him.
There was Ruben Gato Espinosa. I show he did YA time in 1976, got released, but then was convicted of a burglary in 1981, whereby he was given C number 39914. He was released on that, but came back in 1984 after a robbery beef. He was released on that, but came back into custody in 1987 due to a drug charge, and I understand was killed in 1988 by NF Captain Sleepy Escobar, who I'll talk more about here shortly. There was Rudy Flaco Espinosa from Ontario. I believe he was NF around 1972 when he was still a teenager, as seen here in his pictures, before the name was changed from Nuestra Familia Mexicana to just Nuestra Familia, since Babo Sosa and several other NF were not Mexican. Flaco had B number 54262 and ran a lot of dope in the mid-70s under Alfred Panzas Lopez Leva, who was a major dope dealer out of nearby Chino. Panzas had been targeted by the MA in 1972 and later was killed in 1978 by the NF. I show that Flaco continued to remain in the NF at DVI in the late 70s and then disappeared off my radar. There was Gonzalo A.K. Gunner Esquivel out of San Jose. I believe he had a C number and I think was born in the mid-50s. I was told by our first vice president of the International Latino Gang Investigators Association, Rick Cowboy Handel, who worked for many years at the Santa Clara County Jail, that he was an NF suspect. I believe he may have had a son, Gonzalo Esquivel Jr., who operated out of Los Baños. He was known to be a meth dealer and was busted in June of 2011 under Operation Red Zone. This Gonzalo Esquivel has BOP number 66126-097 and is scheduled for release in June of 2027. There was a Mike Jr. Esquivel out of Sacra, Zapata Park. You may recall earlier that I always took special note of guys from Sacra, as I lived there also when I worked at New Folsom. He had B number 72907 and was considered to be an NF associate. I remember he worked in the C Yard office, and I highly suspect that he was gathering intel for the organization while he was there. Office assistants do a lot of work, a lot of typing, but they also get to see all the reports and take note of everybody coming and leaving the facility. So it's a key position for somebody like him to have and operate right under the nose of the guards. There was Victor Sleepy A.K. Sergio Esquivel from San Juan. He was a longtime NF member and validated as such in 1988 under D number 3497. I showed that he was at San Quentin in 1990, paroled but returned in 1991. It was housed at Corcoran State Prison. He was caught with a shank there. He was housed at San Quentin in 2000 and then moved in April 2000 to Pelican Bay C facility, where I believe he was promoted to captain rank. Understand he was involved in peace talks with the MA in 2012 that later on evolved into the end of hostilities agreement. I showed he was at Pelican Bay in 2013 and then moved to Salinas Valley State Prison after NF were let out of the SHU. He was housed at New Folsom Prison in 2021 and is currently housed at Salinas Valley State Prison. I believe that Sleepers has always been loyal to the federal faction. There was Humberto Pájaro Estrada out of Salas. He was aligned with Rico Smiley Garcia and had P number 56030. I show that he was involved in some shootings on behalf of the NF in November 1998, but was validated only as being an NSO associate. I believe he paroled in 2011, and I lost track of him after that. There was Robert Eloy Estrada out of Fontana. I remember this guy very clearly. He was an NF member in the 1970s under B number 62201, but had become forgotten about. I remember him entering New Folsom Violence Control Unit 85 around 1991, and the unit was mostly Aryan Brotherhood and MA, although we did have a few Africanos, BGF associates, Crip and Blood OGs, as well as Northern Structure. The Northern Structure all were giving him the saludos. And I'll finish off with Martin Omar, a.k.a. Kilo Estrada Luna, who's out of Washington State, the Tieton area, to be exact, right outside of Yakima. But he was known as being an NSOL in the year 2000 in the BOP under number 11349-085. He was released from the feds in December 2008. After he did his BOP term, he was deported to Mexico, whereby he started working for the Zetas cartel and is believed to have been involved in ordering the murders over 200 people on behalf of the Zetas. So there you go again. Another vato from Washington State with heavy ties to the Northern movement. But what do I know? And with that thought, this is Gabe Morales signing off. Gangsters, cops, and politicians. If I go forward, follow me. If I hesitate, push me. If they may kill me, avenge me. If I am a traitor, kill me.
Gangsters, cops, and politicians, get ready to rock. On a mission, each one of us shares our